All right, and NAST week 2 is upon us. Pudad and Sons versus Dynasty Party. Kick off this match here on Tycho Temple. We got the Atlas Drek X versus the Dubu Juno Rasmus. Real classic comp over there from Dynasty Party. And on a recovery drone, I think it was a Stinger start as well, but everyone went recovery drone. We got big size coming out tonight.
Big size and a little bit of a double brawler comp almost from Pudad and Sons. Jakar is not necessarily known for doing too much midfield action these days, but Cliff is the midfielder of Pudad and Sons. Drakar is one of his main characters. He's making it work. But for now, it's Dynasty Party kicking us off with a .1. Swaghaver and Miri Meg on that offensive duo. And I gotta say, it's always interesting to see Miri Meg in the midfield because this dude is a MOBA player. Not very common that you see MOBA players in the midfield. Every once in a while, we see brawlers picking up the MOBA control scheme, and Miri Meg is a brawler main. This dude's rocking it in the midfield tonight and looking pretty good on it so far.
Yeah, holding it down pretty well so far for that first point. One recovery drone getting spent off of Wolfmang here, but lots of passive damage coming out. Another almost KO as Cliff will be losing a recovery drone here as well. Bit of sneaky amount of damage over on that Dynasty Party side here as they bring down their first barrier. Core flip here from Cliff to send it in the corner. Mira Meg gonna flip it right back up to Swaghaver. Attack from the bottom side. Core flip's traded. Pudash clears it out, but we'll be losing a midfielder for it. Core flip here from Wolfmang into the bull rush. Doesn't have enough momentum to follow up. It's now Swaghaver with possession. Wolfmang able to get back in time to kill off the power play. Cliff comes back online here. A lot of damage onto Wolfmang, though, during that defense. As we head into overtime. Cliff versus Asianator. Asianator finds the pass to Mira Meg up to Swaghaver here. A nice clear from Pudash to reset things in Asianator's goal box. Wolfmang taking over, but Swaghaver gonna beat him in the midfield. Another opportunity, though. Pudad and Sons. Cliff brings it to the corner with the shotguns. Gonna be able to find that barrier. Wolfmang with the bull rush on net. Doesn't go in. Looking for another opportunity, but Swaghaver pushing back to the field. Now Cliff passing it back up. Asianator gonna send it away. Swaghaver with the death touch. Looks for a shot on this barrier, but Pudash holding it down. The Blobos coming out, but Wolfmang, nice strike war, gets it cleared back out in the midfield. Cliff pushing back up, and Asianator to ninth rotation, brings it back around. Cliff with a pass up to Wolfmang, gets KO'd here, goes for the bull rush, doesn't find much, but it's a power play for Dynasty Party as Swaghaver opens up the other side of the field. Both sides with open goals here. Mira Meg with the core, a Blobo to set it up, and Pudash gonna get caught there in between a death touch and a Blobo. Dynasty Party will bring it to a set point.
Yeah, and this is Rasmus with nerfed damage. Like, we just reduced the damage on this guy because he was killing too much. And even though Rasmus players can definitely feel the difference between this and what it used to be, people who play against Rasmus can still very much feel it on their bodies, and Wolfmang and Cliff are having to witness that firsthand right now. But Dynasty Party doesn't even need to get kills to score. They'll just straight up out core control, and it is a swift 3-0 set 1 for them. That'll be Asianator taking the set MVP.
And we'll see Spark of Strength here bulk up as well. Be showing up in the start. Stacks on stacks. Potentially a pretty valuable speed awakening here, but it'll be a missile prop for Asianator. Stack's going to go over to Pudash. Looking at this bulk up here for Rasmus, and will be, in fact, what Swaghaver picks up. Cliff, slowly losing good awakenings here as we get toward the tail end of this draft. Spec Training going to go over to Wolfmang as Cliff invests into Sparks. Going to get that explosive entrance here on the Juno. What are your thoughts on that draft? I think the bulk up is kind of the standout item there for me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it's standout for two main reasons, right? Because again, Swaghaver been dishing out a lot of damage on this Rasmus, but simultaneously is denying away the ability to deal damage from Cliff and Wolfmang, as well as that survivability, which is honestly oftentimes the more critical component of that bulk up, is that 360 stagger that you get. So that is a very critical pick deny away, and a very fortunate draft order there. Highly favored for Dynasty Party. But Pudad and Sons are making a showing in this first point. They are the ones that have managed to take down Dynasty Party's barriers first, and they are holding their own for now. Pudad, but just as I say that, their barriers do go down, and now both goalies have air at their backs.
Asianator up to Swaghaver here. The Expanse gonna block him out as Wolfman gets it back to the corner. A pass down to Cliff here, looking for the primary. Asianator there to cover Wolfman with the core flip in the top corner versus the log. The bull rush with the somersault's gonna stop it and keep that alive. Mirrormeg jumping in off the pass from Swaghaver into the open field, just getting in front of Cliff to be able to send that in. Big heads-up play from Mirrormeg as Dynasty Party continue to keep this a shutout so far.
Yeah, this is fantastic play by Asianator on defense, saving those critical Dubu abilities for just the very last second. And Dubu is quite strong right now. He was the melee goalie that escaped the nerfs in the recent round of patches and changes. But Asianator is giving a bit of a masterclass on how to shut down offenses on this massive hamster. The roll is always exactly when he needs it to be, just when Wolfmang is dedicating, a large amount of these high commitment X abilities. Asianator has that roll to stop it. There it is, right there, yeah. Wolfmang dashes in, Asianator has the flip to respond, but Cliff and Wolfmang are able to maintain possession that go round. They're taking barriers this time. Pudad and Sons making a lot more progress this set than they were last.
Still a ways to go here. Cliff up to Wolfmang to the center of the net. He deflected away. Another chance here at this passing play. That one with a bit more luck in the corner. Asianator not quite able to cover all the space with the log there. Will be a point on the board now for Pudad and Sons. Tying it up here in this set, and Pudad with a flip available to match Swaghaver's going into point 3.
One thing I will say that's interesting about this game is both goalies have opted to not take momentum boots, which has kind of been the forerunner as far as goalie gear picks have been this week, except on those goalies who are pretty locked into pauldrons. I think everybody's been experimenting around with new momentum boots, and it feels good, but Asianator and Pudad have decided to stick to their roots on the strike shot and pauldrons for this particular game. Pudad does now have stacks on stacks up, which means that he's able to catch that core before it can go into his net. That's going to be very valuable for being able to outpace these higher mobility Rasmus and Juno forwards.
Yeah, I've seen a couple good saves come off of that speed already. Now Cliff here with the core, a primary setup. Core flip though from Mirrormeg, saved by the strike shot. The death touch from Swaghaver to the top. Pudad makes one save, but Mirrormeg quickly crossing up the other net. I mean, even the fact that Pudad was able to save 2 of them there on cross-net attempts was pretty impressive, but 3 in a row like that against an Atlas, it's just absolutely brutal, this Juno and Rasmus duo.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous game that Pudad and Sons have opted to play. They're playing 3 melee characters, which means that if the core can get past the forward one, Pudad is in a world of hurt. He's outranging both Rasmus and Juno. He can hold his own for a minute because, Atlas is Atlas, but even with Pudad piloting this character, doing his best, it's still a nearly impossible task. But if Cliff and Wolfgang can keep possession up front for long enough, eventually Asianator will crack. And that's Wolfgang being able to keep the flip, tying up the set at 2-2. If Pudad and Sons can make one more miracle happen in this set, next draft could spell a big first momentum for them.
Obviously in the Spark leadership could be potentially a little bit game-changing for them here, but it's Dynasty Party down the first barrier. Death touch goes out. Core flip here from Swaghaver, blocked by the Expanse. Swaghaver forced to retreat there. A little bit low on stagger, but Mirrormeg holding onto the core, doing a good job keeping possession. Offensive Tofu Fortress from Asianator in the midfield as they pressure that barrier, but the defense from Pudad and Sons will hold. Core flip here from Cliff, a shotgun off to Swaghaver, and now it's a much-needed power play for Pudad and Sons. Cliff pushing to the bottom corner, the molten bolt going wide. Barriers still remaining up as Mirrormeg and Asianator look to kill this off. Pudad up in the midfield here as well, but Swaghaver will come back online with no barriers falling. Core flip here from Asianator, sends it back in. Swaghaver with the death touch. Looks for the pendulum swing, doesn't quite line it up. Cliff now back on the defense. Both teams holding their remaining barriers valiantly. Swaghaver another opportunity here potentially. Wolfmang able to find a clear. Now Swaghaver with Whiplash up. Finally gets in position for Mirmeg to find the jump and open up Pudad and Sons' side of the goal. Now on the defense, all three members of Pudad and Sons trying to force it out of here. A Molten Bolt to send it across the map, but it just gets rotated back around to Swaghaver. Pudash, though, with the clear. Bring down one barrier. Core going to slip past them just a little bit here. Mirmeg jumping back in. Cliff coming back on time to cut the pass. Now pressure this barrier, opening up the other side. Wolfmang in the corner. The somersault getting used here. Pass down a Cliff. Back up to Wolfmang. Shot to the bottom. Gets deflected. Another chance, but the Blobo's in the way. Send it right back to Pudash, who has to find a clear. Will be able to do so. Now Cliff, Wolfmang, 1-on-2 off the center bumper and into the top corner. Wolfmang credited with the goal during the X Maximus there. And they will take the set to tie up the game.
Pudad and Sons making it happen. I gotta say, that is a deserved Cliff MVP. That guy had several clutch plays in the midfield at that point. He's rewarded with heavy impact here, which is incredibly strong on Draken with no sparks. That's a nice BIS item to be able to pick up on your Drakkar. It does mean that Mirmeg gets a little bit more speed, and Asianator picking up extra special is a little bit devilish, but we have survivability denied away by Pudash, size pick denied by Wolfmang, which means that Swaghaver is left with that stinger, that untouched starter awakening. Honestly, not a massive win for Rasmus. I mean, stinger is okay. He'll probably get some value out of it because he's been passively dealing damage and will continue to do so, but certainly that was a pretty good draft for Pudad and Sons.
I think that definitely reinvigorates them quite a bit there, especially that double size on Wolfmang, who can now just kind of compete with Asianator a lot better just in the strike war department, being the double size Dubu himself here. See an early trade of barriers. Mirmeg now bring the core up to Swaghaver, not able to get a hold of it before getting cleared out. Wolfmang into the top corner. Can't find too much pressure. Now it's going to be the Cliff to rotate it, but Dynasty Party will clear it back out, and Swaghaver on the breakaway open up Pudad and Sons' side of the field. Cliff and Wolfmang looking to even it up. Coming down to the bottom side, Mirmeg with the jump, the primary here from Cliff. Asianator with the log, a somersault to save, and Mirmeg makes it clear out. Swaghaver with the death touch, brings it to the top side. Saved away. Gonna have another opportunity in this corner. The Expanse sends it flying, and now Mirmeg to the Blobos, looking for a shot, but on the rebound, Mirmeg still there. Had the primary available to take the point. Dynasty Party taking the first one here in set 3.
Yeah, Dynasty Party still looking strong, and Mirmeg is getting so much action with this Juno. I mean, it seems like he really is the linchpin of Dynasty Party's ability to rule this match. Finding a KO with a primary into flip there. But certainly Juno is the one with the most outplay potential for these melee characters. And Cliff has been responding pretty good to Mirmeg for the most part, timing those Drakkar dashes really well to play for it. But certainly when Mirmeg is on his A game, it looks like Dynasty Party are the far and wide the front runners in this match. But some nice KOs and a double barrier could turn all of that around right now. Wolfmang in front of the net will tie up the set. Pudad and Sons far not out from this one yet.
That was a big double barrier shot there from Wolfmang, and able to get right in front of Asianator with that core flip and wait out the somersault as well. It's an almost unwinnable situation. See if Dynasty Party's able maintain another lead here. Nice barrier there from Mirmeg. The Tofu coming out against the Expanse, though. The core just going to be trapped in the corner here for a bit. Pudash, some well-timed strikes to keep it alive. And they will recover, getting some offense going. They'll pick up a barrier on the way back. Swaghaver with a chance on that second one, but it will get deflected back. And now Cliff trying to force it past Mirmeg. Mirmeg getting it right back in the bottom corner, though. Wolfmang going to town, just punching Swaghaver with that spec training. And that will be a power play here for Pudad and Sons. Asianator going to whiff the core flip. And this is a big opportunity now. Pudad and Sons to take a lead. Cliff with the primary doesn't actually get the barrier. Asianator making a great save there to stall out the power play. Now Cliff is the one who has to be really careful. Blobo coming in does go a bit wide. Car will stay alive for the time being. Slippery little lizard. So you head into overtime. Asianator Clearing her down to the bottom side. Unfortunate bounce off the center there as Cliff bringing down that second barrier. Wolfman looking for the bull rush. Aginator wins the strike war, but too much pressure coming in. And that'll be the point going over to Pudad and Sons. Wolfman getting the KO on Aginator right at the end as well. Now this match is pretty heavily flipped in favor of Pudad and Sons.
Yeah, Cliff and Wolfman are navigating this offense perfectly right now. It seems like every time they're able to get it up onto the side of Dynasty Party, they're playing perfectly around Wolfmang's massive body. Those two Size Awakenings coming in clutch. And Cliff has been incredibly opportunistic with these Drakkar secondaries, these Xeno Cloaks. It doesn't give a ton of speed for a lot of time. Like, it's no Era Mine, or Era Speed Burst. It's no Now Mine. But Cliff is making it look like Drakkar is a speed midfielder with these Xeno Cloaks. So many valuable plays, but now both teams don't have barriers here. It's going to be down to whoever can make the first play. Pudad and Sons could take a second set here, or we could see it tied up by Dynasty.
Wolfman walking up with the core here as the bell ringer. Not a good angle on that, but we'll have another opportunity with a pass down to Cliff. Has the Molten Bolt core flip here from Aginator, sent right back at him by Cliff. Mirrormeg able to stop the third time, get it up to Swaghaver, keeps the red core going, and a shot to the bottom corner will score. Set point now for both teams, tied up 1-1, 2-2, and a big set 3.
If I'm not mistaken, Swaghaver's Rasmus secondary is bugged. Yep, the rapid twirling has just confirmed that. I was not aware that this bug was still possible, but yeah, Rasmus secondary, I believe it's if you get interrupted or killed during the secondary recast, it can sometimes permanently replace your secondary with a recast ability that does nothing. So he's trying to relog right now to fix that problem. But certainly you can't play the game without that extra ability. It looks like he has it back now.
There we go.
Might be all good. We'll be resuming shortly, I assume.
Yeah, looks like we're good. Play resumes, so 0.5 now of set 3, and a potentially very big set for game 1 here. A couple of builds that are looking to go to the moon as Wolfmang picks up a big KO onto Mirrormeg, and now another huge power play for Pudad and Sons. Sneaking it past Swaghaver here, getting into the corner with the Aginator. Core flip guy come out from Swaghaver to buy some seconds. Wolfmang keeping it in this corner. Aginator with the strike war. Earned Wolfmang's core flip out of that as well, which will kill a bit of momentum, but Pudad and Sons playing confidently, keeping the core on Dynasty Party's side of the field here. They're able to pick up that second barrier now, but Pudad caught out a little bit. Out of position, will lose the second barrier of his own. Now they gotta scramble a little bit to get off their side of the field. A nice astral projection forces Aginator to interact with it. Now Cliff up to Wolfmang, back down to Cliff, to the bottom of the net. Gonna try again here, up to Wolfmang in the corner, a somersault to rotate it back around. Mirrormeg jumping in, core flip here from Pudad to send it to the top side. Swaghaver blocking the shot on the rebound to the bottom of the net. And that'll be the set going over to Dynasty Party. A big win here going into this draft.
Yeah, nice comeback from them, and a big opportunity for them to deny away some of the scaling. It doesn't look like you'll be denying any scaling away from this X, though. You're either going to give him 1-2 punch or fight or flight. An Aginator has to take that team player. It's just a little too valuable. But certainly picking up 1-2 punch means that Mirrormeg is without it. You don't want to be giving that to Juno. It means fight or flight on Cliff, though, which is a big, big speed buff to this Drakkar who, as I've mentioned, does not have a lot of speed to work with. And that's also additional size on the forwards of Pudad and Sons and additional speed on Pudash. Big, big win for Pudad and Sons again, but that team player means that Dynasty Party are going to have even more of an advantage in overtime than they already had with this Juno. So certainly that core speed is going to be terrifying if Pudad and Sons can't figure out how to score within the first 60 seconds.
Yeah, we've seen the core speed play pretty big this match on that open net. So that's the big thing here for Dynasty Party. But other than that, Pudad and Sons came out, like you said, really on the better end. of that draft overall, mostly playing around Cliff and Wolfmang, and they're putting a lot of effort here into just kind of playing aggressive, and which is kind of how they've been winning in those previous sets. It's when Mirameg and Swaghaver are allowed to have multiple shots on the net that things fall apart. They have the core speed, they have the ability to rotate around the Atlas pretty easily. The Pudad and Sons just have to always stay in a position to where the forwards of Dynasty Party are not allowed to do anything offensively. And they're in a pretty good spot here. So I still think this game can go either way, but yeah, I like Pudad and Sons' chances of bringing this to a set 5.
This team player, I had forgotten to take the pauldrons into account. With Dubu plus size, with this pauldrons, the power with the team player is enough to just raw red core, which is kind of crazy. I thought we nerfed this awakening, but turns out 15% still hits the threshold, and that means that Asianator gets even more maneuverability around these slow melee characters that Cliff and Wolfmang are both playing. It's a dangerous, dangerous spot for Pudad and Sons.
Yeah, it definitely is. Pudash barely saving the core there on the net with the flip. Gets back up to Swaghaver. A nice hit, stumble to death touch to bring it up. Cliff, though, getting in the way just in time to cut the pass. The Blobos, though, coming out on the defense. The red core, the strike shot from Pudash, able to save it. Core from Swaghaver. It's a 50, but Pudash saves it. No, never mind. Mirameg able to follow it up on the rebound. A crazy expanse from Pudash, but Mirameg was right there to catch it and sent it screaming right back in. Dynasty Party, that core speed looking deadly right now. Take the first point.
Yeah, Asianator's build is absolutely disgusting. The missile prop plus extra special combo means that he can so frequently and so powerfully send up these tofu fortresses from the midfield, but they don't even need it when you've got Swaghaver sniping double barriers all the way from midfield. Yeah, Dynasty Party firing on all cylinders this set, and if they continue to do so, it will mean a very swift end to Game 1.
Yeah, it's becoming increasingly... Ooh, Mirameg goes to the top! Almost snuck past Pudash there, but luckily they were able to get back in time. But it's becoming increasingly difficult for Pudad and Sons to actually hold on to the core whenever they get it. It's all constantly flying at them at Mach speed here. But now finally able to get it in a corner and bring down that barrier, though Mirameg forcing it back through on the return. The Blobos coming out. They bring it up to Swaghaver on the top side. A nice astral projection to make the save. Now Mirameg wins the strike war against Cliff. Up to Swaghaver with the Whiplash available. It's going to be a checkmate there for Pudash without an expanse or anything. And it's match point here for Dynasty Party.
Yeah, again, Pudad and Sons, they seem to have found the formula for getting barriers. It's pretty consistently they're able to tackle Asianator's barriers, but that always usually guarantees that the pendulum swings back over to their side for a chunk of time, and Pudash is forced to defend against Mirameg and Swaghaver for a chunk of time. And once those Atlas abilities are gone, he's just, a sitting duck in an open net, and that's never a recipe for victory. But the barrier advantage does once more swing in Pudad and Sons' favor, and we've seen them cook up miracles before in earlier sets. Let's see if they can find it in themselves one more time.
Things become scary though on the open net. Asianator has a lot more clearing angles and ways to activate that team player here. So Wolfmang, though, you're in the corner, able to beat out the Blobo and Asianator strike. I'd find a point here for Pudad and Sons. Keep them in this set for a bit. The energy advantage pretty much tied up exactly. So we're about to see a bunch of core flips come out on this point here. It is still match points for Dynasty Party.
Yeah, I will say Pudash having so much speed has been a massive boon for Pudad and Sons. He's being able to push up a lot further out of the goal box and contest Mirameg and Swaghaver a lot better. A nice KO from Wolfmang there, and the X Maximus passed up to by Cliff. That'll tie up the set. Pudad and Sons not going down without a fight here. All three of them have flip. There are 2 flips on the side of Dynasty Party, but it's a slight energy advantage for Pudad and Sons, who might be able to take us to set 5.
Bring down the first barrier here as well. They got 3 flips to work with. Core flip here from Asianator gets it up to Swaghaver, though, and it's a quick barrier traded. Dynasty Party slowly being pushed back across the field here. Nice strike shot to keep it on offense. Swaghaver pushing up. Core flip here from Wolfmang to send it back in, but Swaghaver able to get the core yet again. Pendulum swing will be blocked here. Pudash will whiff the flip, and now it's just 1 flip available for Pudad and Sons. The bell ringer here from Wolfmang, though, opens up the goal. Swaghaver looking to make it even. A pass to Mirameg will open up both sides. Mirameg a shot on, but Cliff with a flip to send it around, and it's just too fast for Asianator to reach it. Pudad and Sons sneaking one in, and they will be taking this to a set 5.
That's some impressive stuff right there. And Wolfmang, wow. That angle on the barrier, the dribble into Bellringer to secure that final barrier was so precise and so impressive. And Might of the Colossus, a massive deny away from Asianator, as well as a big upgrade for Wolfmang, who has 2 size awakenings. That is a huge boon for Pudad and Sons. We also have size denied away from Swaghaver by Pudash. Hot shot on Cliff, denying away Mirameg, but that's also strong on Drakar, especially in the midfield. That's some core speed that previously was not really possessed by Pudad and Sons. Look at that. That shotgun, just like a lightning bolt, shot it down to Asianator's barrier. The Molten Bolt sending it at red core speeds. I mean, this is a massive victory for Pudad. They might be able to pull this completely back.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good for them so far. Ice Tofu Fortress here on offense. Mirameg corralling the core, trying to get it past Cliff in the bottom corner, but Cliff just sending it right back out. Wolfmang a bit of an oopsie with the bell ringer backwards, and they will be losing a barrier off of that. But now Wolfmang with the core and the opportunity to rectify it. Saved by Asianator with the somersaults. Swaghaver trying to push back up the field. The Expanse will shut that down. Mirameg, a bit of a missed pass, allows a shot from Wolfmang. Luckily, not too many consequences. Tofu Fortress coming out yet again. Here's the Blobos. Swaghaver to the top side. Doesn't find much. Wolfmang will reset Swaghaver's recovery drone as we head into overtime now. Wolfmang with a bit of a missed shot there. Might have another chance to pass down to Cliff. Back up to Wolfmang to the center. That's right. Core flip battle, but Asianator wins it. Doesn't find the net, though. Core flip here from Mirameg off the bottom. Pudash going to core flip it right back. Now Mirameg, but back to Wolfmang, going for the dribble into the bull rush to the center of the net. What a shot from Wolfmang, and gets the KO as well. Pudad and Sons scoring first in set 5.
What an insane point in general. I mean, there were several good plays by Mirameg and Swaghaver, repeatedly working it up the field and putting Pudad in tough spots, but Pudad saved it every single time. And Cliff staying alive was massive, keeping that recovery drone. And then Wolfmang is just, I mean, this is set 5X that we're looking at this point, right? And it's being piloted by Wolfmang, a notorious X player. So this is some real work that Pudad can finally do. And Dynasty Party have their work cut out for them if they want to show off like they did the first couple sets.
Swaghaver here in the top corner, but it's going to get cleared back out, and Wolfmang able to pick up the first barrier, a second one as well with the X Maximus. Pudad and Sons in a great position here to score with Pudash pushing up to the midfield line. Cliff up to Wolfmang to the bottom of the net. The somersault doesn't reach in time. Wolfmang another shot to bring home a point, and now it's match point for Pudad and Sons. Dynasty Party unable to find anything in the 5th set. And this might just be a Pudad and Sons game 1 here if they keep it up.
Yeah, I think the key is for Dynasty Party to really just play around this midfield line for the first minute of every point. They need to make it to overtime because that is where their advantage really starts to shine, is with this team player and the Juno speed. But they're grabbing barriers even without that and holding on to both of theirs. Wolfmang and Cliff struggling to find purchase here, and Asianator has a defensive flip. It'll be burned right there. Mirameg's got a flip of his own on the way, though.
Yeah, there's about to be 3 up for Pudad and Sons right now. Core flip here from Cliff to lob it back in, but a pass to Mirameg to Swaghaver to the bottom of the net. And they'll find the point as well as earn Pudash's flip. A big point there for Dynasty Party. Only 1 flip left for Pudash and Sons, so it'll even that up. at least, the Dynasty Party will stay in this for a bit longer.
Yeah, they're looking a lot cleaner. I definitely think that they're smarting up to this double brawler playstyle, not letting Wolfgang and Cliff collapse nearly as much. Look at that, Asianator sending it into empty space just to cause them to spread out a little bit. Now Wolfgang ended up catching it, but oh my gosh, he strikes it on through! I thought for sure they were holding that, but Wolfgang finds a way, and Pudad and Sons take game 1.
Yeah, he got stalled out just long enough that the somersault and the strike didn't hit it. And then as soon as that ran out, or a moment after it ran out, Wolfgang was able to get the first shot on it. Game 1 going over to Pudad and Sons. Dynasty Party looked really solid there in that first set for a bit, but Pudad and Sons got it done when they needed to. Taking a look at some of these stats here. 288 redirects for Cliff. Out-redirected Mirameg after all of that by just a little bit, which is kind of crazy. Cliff came online in those later sets for sure. 180 saves, though, from Asianator. Locked in the goal box. But 109 shots from Wolfgang. 117 from Cliff. And you can kind of see it started off with a lot more offense from Dynasty Party, but the shot counter, I think, sort of tells the story that once Pudad and Sons got going, their shots, I think, started increasing exponentially faster to the point where they eventually kind of overtook Dynasty Party. And yeah, I think that draft with the fight or flight, the 1-2 punch, was really what kind of blew this whole thing open.
Yeah, I've got to applaud the drafting of Pudad and Sons. Some really efficient drafting from them, making sure that Swaghaver could never get too much size, making sure that Mirameg never got too much core speed. Even though, there were some valuable denials in the early sets by Dynasty Party, making sure that Cliff couldn't get explosive entrance or missile prop. There were a lot more pivotal awakenings that were stolen away by Pudad and Sons, and they were honestly pretty valuable for their comp as well. So I think a combination of draft luck as well as good drafting skills from their team allowed them to get the upper hand there. And a set 5X is always going to be able to do you some good if you can get him there. That being said, Dynasty Party, like you just said, they showed us that there's definitely, without a doubt, a competition in this series. And so as we jump into game 2, I don't know whose map pick this is, but I'm guessing that they're going to have something cooked up to bring us to game 3.
Yeah, Dynasty Party chose Tycho, and its son's map is Clarion for game 2 here.
All right, we'll be back with that momentarily.
All right, game 2 on Clarion Corp. Pudad and Sons map pick, their home court here. We got the Cannon Team Frostfire here for Dynasty Party. Meanwhile, Pudad and Sons rocking something a little bit more interesting. The Kazan era Mako, the Kitten Comp Kazan, basically, on explosive entrance, team player start here. So we're gonna see a lot of crazy core speed happen with some of the present characters.
Yeah, and Mirameg and Asianator have both opted to take team player, which means that they have the opportunity to stack those team player buffs. They recently changed it so that you can't, repeatedly stack them between 3 teammates, but you can still do it between 2, such that you get the buff that you give to your teammates that allows them to strike the core harder, and then if that teammate also has team player, they will have their own buff that they're also applying to the core. So you can have 2 of them active at the same time. But both teams have no barriers currently, but our core speed is, as you said, already active, going at unprecedented rates, and Mirameg has a core flip here to make it go even faster.
Yeah, Big boost right there. Nice save with the strike shot from Pudash. And now in a power play here for Dynasty Party. Right off the ensnare drum. What an angle there. Interesting shot from Swag. I don't even know if that was intentional or not, but it literally just bounced off the end of Pudash's own ensnare drum and went right back in. So first point, I guess, to Dynasty Party. So we've seen quite a few KOs come out a bit early on in this game, and I imagine that will continue to influence this early set.
Yeah, for sure. And Cliff and Wolfmang are doing quite a good job when they can get it on offense. It seems like they're kind of permanently getting passing plays, being able to maneuver the core around Miri Meg pretty consistently. But this Frostfire comp is looking quite strong right now. I mean, Estelle has been good the past couple patches, and with the recent Julie buffs, I mean, she didn't get buffed a crazy amount, just some ult cooldown lowering, but certainly this Awakening pool is good for her. And I swear that they buffed her in some other unscripted way, because those dash punches are hurting right now. It looks like Pudad and Sons are feeling the pain as well, but they're the ones that cracked the barriers this go round, and they have a power play now with a core flip to boot. Pretty likely that they'll be able to snag 1 point.
Be boosting up to the top side. The flip in the primary. Wolfmang, though, not able to catch it on the rebound. Pudash can send it back in. Wolfmang getting staggered there. Had to burn the flip for survivability. It's back to 3-on-3. Wolfmang having to retreat here to not get KO'd by Swaghaver. Pass up to Swaghaver, but will be saved away. Now Cliff working back at the field as Wolfmang goes down, and power play here for Dynasty Party. Cliff, though, holding onto the core. The strike shot going to steal it away. Gets it back up to Swaghaver. Core flip here from Pudash. A pass to Cliff. Reflect off the wall, though, and saved by Asianator. Snare drum's coming out. Keep it up in the midfield. Asianator with the core. Wolfmang able to hook it, but not quite able to find the strike. And Mirameg now pushing back at the field. The dash punch coming in from Swaghaver doesn't have the angle. And it's back to the midfield. Wolfmang taking control first, but Asianator sending it right back over. Swaghaver will find the punch and open up Dynasty's Party side of the field. Wolfmang a nice shot there, but it will get saved away. Now Swaghaver with the core. Cliff, though, interrupting. A pass up to Wolfmang with the pop up. Asianator's got a core flip to send it back, but it's a power play from Pudad and Sons. A hook from Wolfmang to steal it around and find the bottom of the net. And Pudad and Sons will put themselves on the board.
Yeah, it's not the way that I expected them to score there, but they did eventually find a point. I was actually recently adopted into the Pudad and Sons family Lego. I don't know if you knew this, but I was invited onto their sub roster. I scrimmed with them a couple times in the past week. These guys have been putting in the hours, and especially Cliff, who, as I learned, had never received a single iota of Omega Strikers coaching until earlier this week when he did a session with Lou Foxdio, the Ball and Ballers, coming on as the coaching staff for Pudad and Sons. So these guys are putting in the work to put on a show for us in Nasty Season 3, and they seem to already be doing quite a good job of that. But for now, it's Mirimeg that's putting on a big show by taking in this massive Era Orb in the middle and threatening to take the second barrier that Pudash is so desperately trying to defend.
A nice shot there from Mirameg as well to open up Pudad and Sons' side of the goal. Core flip's available for some forwards. We're going to see Swaghaver burn it here. A nice shot to the top. We good, and Pudad and Sons taking the first set here. Bit of an inverse of that first game now. Pudad and Sons the ones coming out to an early lead, and Swaghaver...
No, that was Dynasty Party taking set 1.
Am I insane? I am insane.
You are insane.
I'm insane. All good. I noticed I tend to mix up the teams a lot more frequently when we do this format for some reason.
But yeah, we got a Might of the Colossus coming out early for Swaghaver. Now, that is a double-edged sword because there's an Era on the other team, and she's just picked up Cast to Last. So Swaghaver might live to regret that. If you get perma-shrunk, Might of the Colossus feels pretty bad, especially on Julie, who wants to have those big knockback numbers. And Wolfmang was able to find quite a few KOs last set. Now with Adrenaline Rush, might be able to get some further momentum off of that. But Asianator was able to secure extra special for the second time in this series. The Tofu Fortress already coming out. Extra special on Dubu is always a bit of a nasty sight to see. but I'm sure the Asianator is happy to have it at his disposal.
As a first barrier down here for Dynasty Party. Pudad and Sons look to even it up there. And that ad rush, it's such a gamble of an item, right? Especially when they haven't found too many KOs on the side of Pudad and Sons. At least not consistent setups for ones. So we'll have to see how useful it ultimately ends up being here. A nice clear out. Pudad able to send it right back in. Now Asianator sending it back up the field. Dash punch in from Swaghammer to keep it on the bottom side. Pudash able to avoid the thorns here. Asianator a pass up to Mirameg. Snipes it off the wall and right into the goal as that team player kicks in there in overtime for that quick conversion. And it's Dynasty Party who start us off first again.
It was a conversation that obviously I had considered it before, but not really ever in the context of team player being a specific skill. It was somebody who brought it up in the patch notes. I can't remember exactly who, but the patch notes discussion, people were saying that they liked the fact that team player starts could exist in this game because it requires you to learn an entirely different way to play the game. And it looks like Mirameg and Asianator have cracked more of that code, right? We're seeing some very creative stuff with them, and we're seeing Swaghammer secure a power play for them, which is just going to make this advantage that they have even larger. But certainly, once overtime hits, and even before overtime hits, like the team player is being a massive, massive tool in the hands of Dynasty Party.
And right now, just a lot of battles over the midfield until Wolfmang able to secure that center orb and head into overtime. This is where the real action happens. Looking for that top spin, but Mirameg able to evade it. Now on the defense here, Dynasty Party make the clear out. The piercing shot to keep it up in the zone. Swaghammer not able to make a good connection, though, as Pudash flipped it out of there. The log here from Asianator shuts down the onslaught of abilities from Pudad and Sons. Blink in from Mirameg, able to pick up the second barrier. Asianator just trying to send it back up the field. Up to Swaghammer. It's going to get shot back out. Wolfmang now picking up another size orb and looking to assault this barrier, but Asianator with these team player clears, making it look easy to clip, though, with the flip. Opens up both sides. Pudash looking for a clear out the top side. Finds it to the center to Wolfmang. Now Wolfmang at the net. Asianator able to rotate it down to Swaghammer. Beats the primary. Not able to find a good angle, though. Back to the midfield, but Swaghammer another opportunity. Beats out the drum and base and into the top corner. Dynasty Party bringing it to set point yet again. So far looking pretty dominant in this game, too.
Yeah, I like that Mirameg and Asianator are using the team player core speed to make space, right? Whenever they can find a passing lane between the two of them, they will just gradually extend the distance between the two of them, forcing Pudad and Sons further and further back, which is very nice, because again, if you have Swaghammer playing on the opposite side of the field, that then means that you can potentially open up two passing lanes, and at that point, you're having not only the enemy team pushed back, but also spread out on defense, which makes for these easy collapse plays. The triangle forms up immediately between Dynasty Party and the passing plays. They don't even need this team player from the back line of Asianator if they can form up like that. It's an easy 3-0 set for them. And it's Mirameg taking the set MVP.
And eyeing up this aerials here. It's a pretty good awakening on this Estelle character. Dash range just makes it a whole new challenge to deal with. Stacks on stacks going to go over to Pudash. Size here on Swaghammer with the Might of the Colossus already. It's just going to make those wall KOs even more deadly. Monumentalist for Cliff is really good. Got the missile prop on Dubu, and it's just going to be Sparks for Wolfmang, not left with much. And I really like what Dynasty Party came out with on that draft. I think Pudad and Sons are going to have a difficult time on the defense for sure.
Yeah, it seems like the only real buff that Pudad and Sons got from that draft was Cliff picking up that Monumentalist on Era. And definitely, if they can find the time to set up those Aeronados, it is going to be a valuable pickup. But they haven't exactly had the time to do that. Mirrormeg and Asianator have had more or less constant possession of the core, and if they can get it to Swaghammer once. But, you know, as I say that, you know, if you can kill Mirrormeg, you're all good. Oh, but there goes Wolfmang. Now we're into 2v2. And yeah, if the tempo keeps looking like this, I have to agree, Lego. This is looking dire for Pudad. Looking very, very bearish, or bullish, rather, for the side of Dynasty Party.
Big tornado coming in. Asianator had to roll out of the way, but the barrier will fall to it. Thorns will get blocked by the core flip here from Pudash. The core doesn't get very far, though. Cliff able to recover in the midfield with the Tofu coming out. It's rotating back around. Cliff to Wolfmang up to the top. Strike shot saves it. Mirrormeg trying to get it out of here desperately out of the hands of Wolfmang. The tornado getting set up in the center line. Asianator able to find a clear out of there, though. Back to Mirrormeg. Swaghammer in the top corner, not able to connect the dash punch. And now Mirrormeg bringing it back to the top corner yet again. The flurries come out. That's the KO, and Mirrormeg has the open net to sink it in. Swaghammer with a big-time KO on the goalie at the right time, and Dynasty Party keep the streak going.
And critically, Wolfmang is without size. It's been denied away repeatedly by Dynasty Party, which means that this Kazan is basically only left with KOs as the main route to making progress in this game. I mean, certainly you can still do those hook out plays, but Asianator has been quick on the draw for those. Nice little defense there between Cliff and Pudash, keeping Swaghammer off the barrier, but he does still have a flip to work with here. He is going to try to burn it to kill Cliff, but it doesn't work. And Pudad and Sons, once more, very similar, reminding me very much of last game, seem to be getting the barriers down. It's getting through this open net that seems to be particularly challenging. Asianator just turns into a different beast in the open net. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but this guy, it seems like he gets a third barrier when his first two go down. And then all bets are off as far as it is getting through him. And Mirrormeg just once more finds the line, dribbles there with the Rose Warp, finds a shot to the top side. This is series point for Dynasty Party, and it's been a while since we've seen Pudad score.
Yeah, they're struggling this match for sure. The double team player has been really good, and Pudad and Sons haven't been able to get many KOs either, whereas Dynasty Party, with Swaghammer patrolling the edge, have been able to pick up just enough. And that's going to be a double barrier here for Dynasty Party. Asianator looking to send the core right back in. Wolfmang has a flip available here, but not able to find much to use it on. Finally able to pick up a KO there. Now has the ad rush proc. There's the core flip burn for the first barrier. Desperately looking to win the 1v2 for the second one. The pop up, but Asianator has the flip available. The tornado keeping the core in just long enough to open up the goal. And now Mirrormeg back online, but the core's just barely slipping past Asianator there in that little scuffle in the goal box. And Pudad and Sons able to put themselves on the board here, but they're in full reverse sweep mode as Dynasty Party sitting pretty comfortably on game point.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be baffled if they can pull something out, especially as the Tofu Fortress comes out and a power play for Dynasty Party unfolds. But, I mean, again, look at Wolfmang, the miracle worker over here, grabbing barriers and holding strong in the absence of Cliff. But Mirrormeg and Swaghammer are coming in hot on these barriers. Just as I say that, though, the barriers go down again. How do they keep making it happen, Lego?
They got the speed. I don't know.
They got the speed.
I don't know. They got the speed. But it's Mirrormeg and Swaghammer with the passing plays. The flurry's on the line. Pudash somehow able to save that and sneak it through the Tofu Fortress as well. Swaghammer looking really worse for wear right now. Mirrormeg almost able to snipe it in. They're just barely getting launched back, and Pudad and Sons able to pick off Swaghammer, and now they've got the power play and a chance to stay in this. In the midfield line, Asianator finds the clear, sends it back to Pudash. Mirrormeg pushing up with the flip available to the top corner. Able to dodge the snare drums. The Dynasty Party are going to bring this one to a quick game 3.
Yeah, they definitely looked a lot stronger, and I think a lot of it had to do with again, that team player skill. It's a niche skill to know, because, I mean, how many games do you have team player starts? But if you have two people who know how to use it, they're both willing to take the Awakening. Look at Aginator and Miri Meg having over 140 redirects each, and Miri Meg having 54 shots. Swaghammer actually beating him out in shots, which surprises me. But, I mean, definitely we saw that core speed time and time again be the most valuable tool in the toolbox of Dynasty Party. Which I think speaks to a wider theme with their team, right? Which is that Aginator and Miri Meg clearly have more of this, defensive synergy going on, whereas we've been pointing out a lot of the offensive synergy between Wolfmang and Cliff on the side of Pudad and Sons, which offers a bit of an interesting yin and yang relationship between these two teams. But we'll have to see which side is going to come out on top as we move to our Game 3 tiebreaker here in just a moment.
All right, Game 3. It's all on the line here in Week 2. Dynasty Party running the exact same comp, the Frostfire comp from last game. Meanwhile, Pudad and Sons bringing out some familiar faces, the same thing that they ran in Game 1. Big Fish spec training start. Everyone going Big Fish, notably here on Otten City, where it's all for the money.
Yeah, the Pudad and Sons comp, like you said, looking very similar to Game 1. We do get to see the Wolfmang Rasmus this go-around, though. He's making plays on Aginator, but a Swaghammer walking forward with a shot on the net. Very good patience from him to wait for that shot to open up. Will mean first point over to Dynasty Party. I also got to point out, this is Miri Meg and Swaghammer both opting for slit kicks. We've seen quite a few interesting slit kicks over the course of this game. Cliff grabbed them in Game 1. We've seen Swaghammer grab them a couple times now. But this is the first time that we've seen both forwards grab slit kicks. And I think that's rare on Otten especially, because it's a more open map. You spend a lot more time in the midfield, especially for Estelle, right? Like Miri Meg grabbing slit kicks here is very unconventional. But I'm guessing that it's the brawler in him, It's that brawler brain. You see the slit kicks, and you're reminded. You're reminded of your glory days. Kill from Swaghammer.
The core flip to start the power play now, and it's assaults on the net from Dynasty Party. Wolfmang having a flip defensively to get out of there, but now Swaghammer pushing up in the corner. Pudash able to make the save in the one-on-one. Now back to 3, but core flip pass from Miri Meg. Swaghammer to the bottom of the net. A great redirect at the last minutes. And that will be Dynasty Party bringing it to another quick set point here. Continuing to look good. Pudash will have a flip available for this point 3, but Dynasty Party, Estelle is really good on this map.
Yeah, we're definitely looking at a bit of the dyad of classic Otten City characters. Rasmus and Estelle are perhaps the two most famous, and these teams each get one of those to their name. And then two unconventional picks. Drakkar, definitely not known for Otten City. Julie, she's all right, but that definitely we know that Miri Meg is more of the playmaker for the side of Dynasty Party. Wolfmang is what the hopes and dreams of Pudad and Sons are hinging on. And when your hopes and dreams are hinging on your brawler, it's always a bit of a scary scenario. But when that brawler is Wolfmang, I'd say those hopes go up quite a bit.
Now Cliff here with the core dribbling, and the Molten Bolt. Miri Meg able to make the save, though. Core flip here from Cliff, blocked by Miri Meg right on top of him. And core flip here from Pudash clears it back around, but Aginator rotates at Cliff. There to catch the core. Now Wolfmang to the top. Core flip from Aginator. Get down Swaghammer, catches it with the dash, but the expanse shuts it down. He goes back to the bottom corner of Dynasty Party. Wolfmang with the dribble to the bottom of the net. Somersault will make the save. Miri Meg and Swaghammer pushing up. Swaghammer to the top side. The shot will be good, and Dynasty Party takes set 1, 3-0.
Yeah, this is 6 big fishes picked up by all players. But Aginator, sporting momentum boots for the first time this series, will be taking set MVP. That team player is up, and we already know that he loves it. He's not going to let that go to waste. team player straight away to that Dubu once more. Pudash opting for Hot Shot, always a solid pickup on Atlas. You have Fight or Flight on the board this draft, but Swaghaver will be passing it up for Spark of Focus instead. That means Cliff gets some much-needed speed on his side, and that'll be a Deadeye Rasmus picked up by Wolfmang. Explosive Entrance was on the board to give a little bit more speed and maneuverability, but Deadeye has been a pretty popular pickup amongst Rasmus players for a while now. Already we can see him aiming to try to KO Miri Meg with that Deadeye Pendulum Swing, but it just buffs the damage output in general on the character, and so certainly Pudad and Sons might be able to get some power plays this set, which could be their win condition and hopefully put them back in the game.
And an open net here for Dynasty Party. Chance to potentially score. Pudad and Sons opening goal up in return. Miri Meg with the core flip. Pass back up to Swaghaver, not quite able to catch it though. And we'll fall back in possession of Pudad and Sons, who work back up the field. On the bottom side, Wolfmang with the pendulum swing. Aginator makes the save. Cliff brings it down, barely avoiding getting KO'd there. Perhaps another opportunity though is Cliff with the core up to Wolfmang in the top corner. Has a flip available. Aginator, a risky strike to take, but will clear it out. Now Miri Meg, a back pass to Aginator, back up to Miri Meg. Not quite able to get a good hold on the core, though, but a KO from Swaghaver burns the flip for it. Might be what they need, though. Cliff pushing up with a Xeno Cloak to the top side. A 50-50 for Aginator. Cliff was invisible during that, and Aginator had to guess. It could have gone anywhere on the net, and Cliff made a good shot there to put Pudad and Sons on the board.
Yeah, and that Fight or Flight coming in handy, allowing Cliff to extend a little bit faster up the map. Definitely getting that speed was a big boon. But Wolfmang and Cliff, though they are, looking flashy, making a lot of plays, Aginator is holding fast on defense. This barrier is still alive, and it's Pudash who doesn't have one. Only now is Aginator forced to use the Tofu Fortress. That means Cliff and Wolfmang are kept further at bay. They will eventually break through, though, but not without Swaghaver and Miri Meg getting to run up the field. Miri Meg catches it, and a shot to the top side will mean that Dynasty Party tie up the set once more.
Yeah, it feels like the leads that Pudad and Sons are able to get here are somewhat fleeting and temporary. There's about to be 2 flips available as well at this point for Dynasty Party. Wolfmang and Cliff, though, with their chance for some offense on this barrier. Core flip comes out from Aginator to get it out of there. Swaghaver in the bottom corner with the flurries, but the Expanse so far holding it down. Beats out the Thorns as well. Swaghaver on the top corner, though, can be able to get it with a dash. Now 2 core flips available. Swaghaver doesn't even need it. Just redirects it around Pudash, just out of reach of the Atlas. And Dynasty Party bring it to set point.
Pudash does have Hot Shot, so when the core is in his range of effectiveness, usually those clears are fast, frequent, and very effective, but Miri Meg and Swaghaver have been quite effective at making sure that the core stays out of Pudash's ability to influence it, and even when it is, that he doesn't have too many abilities to do so. Well played by Dynasty Party to keep the game in their favor that way, and Swaghaver still has this flip to work with, so unless Pudad and Sons can get the upper hand in this point, it's looking like a dire situation for them and a possible 2-set lead for the side of Dynasty Party.
Wolfmang on the bottom side brings the barrier. Core flip, somersault stops it. Miri Meg get back just in time. But now Cliff with the flip here. Waits it out, has nowhere to send it. And now it's up to Swaghaver with the flip. Stalls it out and just dashes it to the top side. Big plays from Dynasty Party. Aginator walled off half the goal with a backwards Tofu Fortress. And Cliff had nowhere to send that core. And then Swaghaver had some real good patience there to find the point. And Dynasty Party so far making quick work, up 2-0 in game 3.
Yeah, Aginator has a decision to make here because extra special is on the table, but so is Missile Prop. He's going to deny that away from Cliff. If your enemy doesn't have a win condition, there's no reason to give it to them. But Cliff does find the compromise, which is aerials on that Drakkar. Kind of the next best thing, and also gives him some of that haste speed, which will be very valuable. Second spark denied away by Pudash from Swaghaver, but Swaghaver is very happy to settle for recovery drone, which means Wolfmang at the back of the draft is just left with extra special. And as we jump into the first 4 seconds of the point, Pudash already doesn't have a barrier to work with. And I'm not sure that Pudad and Sons... I don't think that draft is going to be the thing that wins it for them. But if they can somehow change up the way that they're playing, perhaps, you know, get some of those KOs that I talked about last set, I think that's probably their only way out of this one. For the time being, though, Dynasty Party are looking as strong as ever with no signs of stopping.
And we're just seeing this Atlas struggle so hard on this open net multiple times now. Swaghaver hasn't really had to do much but just keep the core going just fast enough and just at an angle enough that Pudash can't reach it. No speed awakenings, no range other than the strike shot. It's a little bit rough out here for Atlas on Otten City right now, but both sides opened up here. Playing on the defense, Pudad and Sons trying to clear it out, and they'll be able to, but not too much follow-up so far. Wolfmang able to get up in Mirmag's face, and a perfect pendulum swing, just barely nicks Asianator right on the edge. Able to score the point as well to keep Pudad and Sons in this one to tie up this set 1-1.
Nice play there by Wolfmang, and that's that Deadeye kicking in to kill Asianator in the back of his own net. Almost catches Mirmag there with it as well, but yeah, it looks like Wolfmang is doing very well against Asianator when he can, you know, get in front of him, but you have to get those Dubu abilities out first, right? Which is just, it's asking for a lot of possession that we haven't seen Pudad and Sons be able to pump out in this game. But there's a power play for them, and that could be the advantage that they need. If they can get the 1-point lead here, make it happen one more time, Pudad could stay in this game. Asianator rolls wide!
Position, and now the barrier down. Dynasty Party scrambling to get the core out of here, but Mirmag catches Cliff on the wall with a piercing shot. Now all the momentum goes to Dynasty Party's favor. Nice expanse from Pudash to buy some time. Wolfmang pushing up the whiplash, but Asianator clears out. Core flip from Pudash up to Wolfmang. Put in the 2v1, has a death touch. Asianator, though, able to give the corner just some time. A pass up to Wolfmang again. Asianator core flips it out of there. The thorns from Mirmag able to find the barrier. Now the offense here. Cliff coming back up. A shot to the top side. Just squeaks it past Asianator right there. Doesn't even need the pass. And now Pudad and Sons bring it to set point. An opportunity to keep this one going, to stay in this game.
I've seen quite a few times now Wolfmang trying to, you know, do the hook into pendulum swing combo on Asianator to keep him stunned for a long, long time while he's trying to make a save, but it seems like the Deadeye hasn't procced a few times. Instead, they've had to rely on some more creative plays to get this around Asianator, but they've gotten the barriers down once more. They're on a 1-point lead. Wolfmang has the flip here, but Swaghaver has it to respond as well. A nice strike war of his teammate's own ability by Cliff will get Wolfmang the core flip he deserves. And that is a set going to Pudad and Sons, who have just made sure that this game lasts a little longer and this series still remains uncertain as to their victor.
Yeah, now it kind of becomes anyone's game, right? A Dynasty Party seems to dominate when the games are shorter. Pudad and Sons, so far, winning the wars of attrition. Bulk up going over to Wolfmang. Again, Asianator going to pick up that cast. The last twin drive here for the Dakar. Sparks going over to Mirmag. First one, well, the second one taken for that team, but the first one for Mirmag. Meanwhile, Pudash going back on that Among Titans to invest in that forward size. That's going to be pretty big for Wolfmang now, who has got some substantial awakenings at this point. Prize fighter for Swaghaver. Some extra power. Head into set 4, where it could honestly be anyone's game at this point.
Yeah, I have to say, I disagree with Mirmag drafting Spark there. I know that Pudash does have a Spark, but that's a power play here for the side of Pudad and Sons. And Pudash still got speed off of Among Titans. Look, this guy's walking all the way up to the midfield, making plays here. He actually has a flip that he might even be able to use offensively here. But Swaghaver's going to take his barrier while he's pushed up. There's that
There
core
from
flip coming out.
Pudash. Sends it over to Cliff. Meg, though, sends it back. Death touch from Wolfmang to recover the core. Now in the top corner, the pendulum swing. Aginator makes a save, but Cliff here covering bottom side. Has a flip available of his own. Aginator rotates around to the top. Pudash sends it back in, but overtime pass from Aginator up to Swaghaver. Core flip from Cliff. He sends it around. Aginator flips it back in, but it gets cut once again at the midfield. Cliff dribbling it up. Up to Wolfmang. Gonna go back to Cliff. Back to Wolfmang again. The pendulum swing finds the KO in the goalie, but they're still going. Meg in the net to try and hold on. Pudad and Sons forcing it up, and Wolfmang walking up with the whiplash, able to force it in. Pudad and Sons striking first here in set 4. And now, looks like everything is slowly starting to fall their way.
Some impressive patience there from Cliff and Wolfmang. Kind of, like, just standing on the edge of that passing lane the whole time. And there's the second time Wolfmang's found that cheeky KO on Meg. But, yeah, just barely keeping that passing lane open so that they can continue to hold possession and force Aginator further and further into the back of the net. And when he's in the back of the net, this Drakkar and Rasmus have so much pressure on him. If you can get Aginator having to feel like he has to move so far back in order to make this defense work, that is the recipe for success for Pudad and Sons, and they're pulling it off consistently in this set. They've done it twice now. They can make it a third time. This series is suddenly looking very much in their favor, but Swaghaver's here to turn that around. It's a power play in favor of Dynasty Party.
Nice shotgun to avoid Swaghaver using the flip there, but keeping the core up. There's the flip used. A perfect expanse from Pudash. And Wolfmang's back online, working back up the field now in the top corner. Almost gets KO'd, but staying alive. Back pass here from Cliff. Rushes to catch the core now. Meg gonna get hit by the shotgun. Back up to Wolfmang. Core flip from Aginator just to save it. Rotates it back around. Swaghaver can't catch it. Meg almost snipes it in. Pudash with the flip, but it bounces back up to Swaghaver. The expanse in the corner versus the flurries. Swaghaver putting everything into this. So far saved, but Meg able to come into the last second. Beat Cliff in the strike war as the goalie got KO'd. And Dynasty Party taking the point after throwing everything they had at the net there for a good 5 seconds. And they'll stay in this set.
And critically for Dynasty Party, this also means that Swaghaver has 3 prize fighter stacks at his disposal. That is a disgustingly hard-hitting Julie now. There's the dash punch. Cliff barely surviving that, thanks to the diagonal angle. It won't take him out. But certainly Swaghaver's KO potential has just gone up prodigiously. Nice Xenocloak there from Cliff to run up, steal it off of Swaghaver. Swaghaver has the flip. Aginator saves it, but the nubbin sends it back to Wolfmang, who just strikes on through. No energy burst necessary. That's another set to Pudad and Sons. Another well-deserved set MVP to Wolfmang.
It looks like stacks on stacks will be the reward here for Wolfmang. Pretty good on this map, I would say. Monumentalist getting eyed up here by the Atlas. Spark of Leadership showing up, but no one really having more than one spark in this game might make it a little bit less valuable. Heavy impacts for the Dubu, be a deny away from the car, who settles for Super Surge. It's a good deny away from Meg, who currently does not have any Dash Awakening. Will pick up the Spark of Leadership at the end, so we'll be sharing that Spark of Agility, but it is just one spark with the Leadership, of course, as well. So it's not a huge buff, and Pudad and Sons looking pretty good coming out of that draft.
Yeah, looking strong and holding onto their barrier here early, and it actually slips back and snags Dynasty Party's barrier instead. Yeah, no, incredibly valuable draft for them, and that Monumentalist on Pudash is going to help to solidify his, Atlas is not particularly good at covering space, but he definitely can now, and what a passing play. Cliff and Wolfmang having the number of Meg and Aginator. They'll secure the first point. Pudad and Sons looking quite strong here. If Dynasty Party want to stop this steamroll, they're going to have to find some of that old gusto that we saw in Game 2. The Fire Frost synergy. Getting that team player proc off of Aginator and playing off of the core speed. Swaghaver finds a KO here, and that might be the little burst of confidence they need to get back into motion.
trying to keep this alive, doing a good job pushing it up the field, and now Swaghaver pushing back. Core flip here from Mira Meg, tries to go for the setup, but Pudash able to clear it out just in time. Core flip from Wolfmang, looking for the dribble, but Mira Meg able to get in front of it, and now Wolfmang with the pendulum swing up to the top side. Core flip from Maginator, past Swaghaver off the bottom bumper, looking for the bottom of the net. The expanse shuts down the first one, but Mira Meg sending it back in. 3-on-2. Pudad and Sons able to hold on. Let's clear it out of there. Wolfmang in the top corner. Not quite able to reach. Now Cliff pushing the bottom side. But Mira Meg trying to force it on through. A pass up to Wolfmang to the bottom, but Mira Meg still there to hold on. Flurry's coming out from Swaghaver to recover the core. Now starting the assault on the net once again up the top side. Mira Meg not quite able to find a hold on it. Lucky bounces there from Pudash to not let that goal go in. Swaghaver has a flip available. Pudash going to try and keep away from this Juliet, but Mira Meg setting him up. Flip here to the bottom, and that'll be good. Tying it up now. Dynasty Party 1-1 in set 5.
Yeah, several good plays from both sides, but Mira Meg and Swaghaver eventually getting the core solidly in front of the net there, with Pudash having no options to cover it. Was the play-ending play there, which is not a term that makes any sense at all whatsoever, but Swaghaver looking quite strong when they can get it in front of the net for him. As long as you can get out this Monumentalist Atlas secondary, Swaghaver pretty much has open purchase, and there goes the secondary. So this barrier is bound to fall here momentarily, unless... Oh, Pudad and Sons make a play, but Wolfmang gets caught out by the missile prop. And now the barrier's down. Mira Meg and Swaghaver looking strong as ever. Pudash likely going to have to burn this defensive flip here. There it goes. Cliff looking low here, probably about to get KO'd. But Wolfmang is back on the table now, looking for a KO of his own. But Asianator has this defensive flip. It's unlikely that any purchase will be found in the Dynasty Party defense. But maybe Pudad and Sons, the miracle workers, can find it in themselves to make something happen here.
Oh, big passes up, but the expanse from Pudash going to shut everything down there. Core flip here from Asianator to save the barrier up to Swaghaver to the top of the net off a perfect ricochet. These overtime core speeds are going insane with Asianator's team player yet again. Dynasty Party loving this awakening this series, and they'll bring it to series points.
Series point, and Mira Meg finding his wings. This guy is pulling off some pretty nice midfield schmoves. There's the flip on the barrier, and he'll find it. Swaghaver has the flip that could be the game ender. Dynasty Party looking to close this one out fast. There's the flip! The series goes to Dynasty
Very
Party.
big, but not big enough. Swaghaver getting a perfect angle there, and Dynasty Party will be taking the series 2-1 there in a set 5 of game 3. They got the sweep in game 2. The other 2 games, of course, were very close. And once that team player, I mean, they try to utilize that team player every single game, and the 2 where they did were pretty successful. The one game where they weren't really as able to utilize it all that much.
Which it makes sense from a map standpoint as well, right? Like, Tycho is the least open of the 3 maps. It's the one where team player is usually the least valuable. So it makes sense that they were able to get significantly more value out of it. Games 2 and 3. But an impressive series from both teams, all in all. I was very, very pleased. That was a very entertaining series. And I look forward to seeing more of both of them moving forward in the season. Do you have any other thoughts, Lego, before we close out?
No, not much else that's already been said. I mean, they've been having great success with the Frostfire comp, which is kind of cool to see, I guess. But yeah, I mean, they take the series 2-1 and just continue to be a really solid team here. Even with the sub, I think Mira Meg played very well in the midfield today, very well in the Estelle. So interested to see what this team does moving forward. But yeah, that's all for this series. Dynasty Party getting the W here in week 2.
説明のつかない感情難しい言葉など